What's up, Sworn Nation, Bean Nation? Hey, I got some music going in the background. Here we go. Welcome to the North Pole here at Arizona. Hey, thank you so much for joining us here today. We've got the one and only, your favorite, my favorite, everyone's favorite, Artassassin. Here we go. This is catching up with David Artassassin Harrigan. How's it going, sir?
Good. How are you guys doing? How's it going in the North Pole of Arizona?
It is great. We're still waiting for that snow to arrive. Any day
Oh,
now,
good
it's
luck
going
with
to come
that.
down.
Yeah, I'm looking. Do you have an elf on the shelf back there somewhere?
Uh, yeah, there's a demon on the.
Oh,
I was going to
perfect.
rhyme
Okay.
that, but yeah, there's a demon up there. A demon on the whoop whoop.
Yeah.
So, oh, I see. First of all, I'm recognizing that you have your. Is that the 100th cover right behind you for
Yep.
Coffin Comics?
Yeah, that's my 100th. Of course, I had to have that one put in a frame, and I'm actually getting ready and putting pieces together for my 200th
Whoa.
cover. So expect some kind of announcement sometime in the future.
Oh,
I have
exciting.
no other details to offer other than that. But yeah, it kind of
Good.
snuck up on me. I was doing my live stream, and one of the main fiends, Sebastian, clone from Canada, which we all know and love.
Yeah.
He mentioned, because he's been kind of keeping track of what I've been doing, and he was like, "So, hey, your 200th is coming up," and I was like, "Oh crap!" That kind of snuck up on me. So yeah, I'm going to be working on doing that.
Let's see who's joining us here today. Hey, we got Quinn here saying the Canadian snow is brutal. All right, see, I can imagine. Let's see. Oh, what's up, Sore Nation? What's up? Hey, what's up, Jay? Jay Taylor's in the house.
Hey,
What's up,
Jay.
Mark? What's up, Mark? So,
Hello,
hey,
Mark.
so folks, if you have any questions for David, just shoot them out. This is a very informal catching up with David Harrigan. Got nothing in particular really to talk about. We just love Mr. Harrigan, and just want to see what he's been up to. So we did see that you did some getting some R&R, doing a little relaxing over the weekend, doing some little holiday
Yeah,
vacation.
we took a very, very quick turnaround trip over Thanksgiving break to Los Angeles. My daughter she's a big fan of the band BTS, and she had gotten tickets for the big concert they had there. She actually got tickets back in, before the pandemic started, and they rescheduled it for this weekend. So we figured, hey, after everything that's been going on, that's happened in the past month or so, let's just spend a quick turn in Los Angeles, and checked out Disneyland, which is one of my favorite places to go. And me and my wife did the Warner Brothers studio tour, which was the first time I've done that, and that was awesome. I got to see a lot
Yeah.
of Warner Brothers property stuff, like the Batmobile and some of the bat suits and suits for the movies and the Friends set and stuff like that. And that was super fun. So we had a good time. It was real fast. I mean, just only a couple days, and came back and had to get back to real life.
So I imagine when you're going in there, you're not thinking about work or thinking about stuff. Did you get any ideas for putting together like any homages or mashups or anything while you're out
Yeah,
there?
yeah. I actually did come up with a great idea, and I'm not going to say what it is, because I don't want to spoil it.
Yeah.
But I did come up with something I thought was pretty cool, and that I think people will dig. But I'm going to keep my mouth shut for now
All right, cool.
until
Yeah,
the time to talk about it. So
all right. So if we see what looks like vacation photos of that you do, it's like, oh, okay, it was no, that should be exciting to see if we can catch it from your trip. Do you like sketch while you're on vacation, or you're just like doodling napkins or anything while you're?
sometimes I do. I mean, I'd say like 90% of the time I do, especially if we're flying anywhere. I'll have either a I'll take my sketch pad and I'll usually do a bunch of drawings and stuff. And sometimes like I'll give them to like the people who are sitting next to me, or like I think at one time I did like a Wonder Woman drawing, and the flight attendant who was going up and down, she just like totally loved it. So like, oh, here you go. This particular trip, it was such a jam-packed whirlwind. I mean, it was a 12-hour drive out there. We spent 18 hours at Disneyland the next day, and then the day after that was pretty jam-packed, full of driving, and then another 12-hour drive back. So I didn't do much sketching at all this on this particular trip, but most of the time, yeah, I either like kind of crank out ideas or concepts. I did do a lot of thinking because 12 hours of driving, your brain starts running, ideas, and I came with a lot of different ideas. Well, so I was kind of like, okay, mental note, remember this, remember this, remember this.
Ooh, this should be good. Now, so now you're not going to be able to rest up from your vacation and
yeah,
and
exactly.
sit down and get back to work. Exciting. So, have you been playing your bass lately? Last time we talked, you were rocking and rolling. And
yes,
how's it coming along?
Yeah, I've been loving it. It's I never thought that, when you start learning to play music, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna get a guitar and I'm gonna rock out and everything, and then I'm gonna be a guitarist, and there's something about, they put me on a few songs on bass, and there was just something about the feel of it and the sound I just fell in love with. I'm like, oh, it's like I think I might be a bass player more than anything. And I haven't had too much time to practice lately, which is gonna upset everybody else at the school, but because work and Coffin comes first. But no, I've been having a lot of fun with it, and I think one of my other friends is a musician. He does a lot of like synth music and like rapping and things like that. And so he was like, "Oh, you can play an instrument now, or let's collaborate and let's do stuff." So he's in the process of moving into a new place that he's going to create a music room, and so we're just going to kind of go and jam and create weird music together.
Yeah, it just seems so.
I'm sure it'll be terrible.
No, eventually I'm sure it's going to be great. Yeah, it always turns out great. Just like when you first started drawing, it only gets better. Here's a great question from Quinn here. What got you into drawing art and keeps you inspired when you get the block?
Oh, when I get the block. You get the old block. The old artist constipation. Comic books is what got me interested. Ever since I was little. I mean, and my brother showed me my first comic. I think it was an X-Men comic. I was in love, and I was like, I couldn't get enough. I was getting comic books all the time, and I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to draw, and I want to write stories. And so, I picked up, I think it was How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way, which is a book that you can probably still get it now, but it was a real old school kind of drawing book. And so I got a sketchbook and I started like learning how to draw the different characters, and created my own characters and my own stories. And I mean, people who knew me in high school, knew some of the characters I had created, these little side characters. And yeah, it was something I always wanted to do since I was probably like 8 or 9 years old. I fell out of it a little bit in college, and out of college because it seemed like an unattainable task at the time. Like there's no way I can get into this.
Yeah.
And then I started drawing again in 2000, and forgot about how much I enjoyed it. So got into drawing again, drawing more and more and more and more. And, with the help of the internet, started gaining more of a following, and then started to direct my attentions back to the original goal of getting into comics. And so that's what started. X-Men was probably my go-to, my favorite comic.
Which
that
character?
Really kind of got me. Which character would that be? Wolverine.
Oh, hell yeah.
I mean, it was everybody's and it was mine too. What helps me out when I get the artist block? I usually take a break because there's nothing worse than getting artist block and then trying to force creativity because it never comes out looking right. So I'll take a break. I'll watch TV. I'll listen to music. Usually it's listening to music that gets me out of the artist block, and sometimes looking at other artists too, because sometimes I'll look at other artists that inspire me and I take inspiration from, and I see something really cool that they're doing. I'm like, okay, that's really cool, and then I'll try and figure out in my head how did they do that. Either like a technique or a style or something, and that just the process of trying to figure out how this artist accomplished a certain thing helps me get out of that block. Sometimes trying new art styles. I mean, I think a lot of people have noticed over the last few covers that have come out from me that there's been a lot of different styles and a lot of different techniques, and that's me sometimes experimenting to try and either get out of an artist block or to get to just kind of get my art up to the next level. I don't like to be stagnant. I like to expand and do different things, and so some of that is changing things up every once in a while.
And I'm not surprised to hear that music gets you out of that block since now you're playing bass. And I just read, oh, there you go. Who's that?
That's my cat, Lala.
Lala. Oh, you know what? I'm pretty sure I've seen that cat on one of your covers not so long ago. Yeah, it's not surprising to hear that music gets you out of your block since you're playing music. And I just read a book about like a writer who was saying like she started taking up painting so she can learn how to express yourself without words. So it's like that's what you're doing. You're expressing yourself without the use of your drawing skills through music, which is pretty amazing. Oh, here's a comment from Dustin here. Keep the beard dyed for you. Tell me what you told me for the anime inspiration. Oh, what is this?
So the beard, unfortunately, I had to trim the beard after my whole near-death experience thing. So that was an unfortunate casualty. So I am growing it back out. It's getting there. So it's going to be, but that was like a year-long project that got it out before. Tell them what you told me for anime inspiration. Oh man, give me another clue, Dustin. Or are you talking about the Gurren Lagann? That might be what you're talking about. There was a period, and I probably talked about this before on here, but I went through a really dark period where I did not. This is actually even after I started drawing again.
Mm-hmm.
I went to San Diego Comic-Con. I think it was in 2010. And with the goal of, this is going to be my time. I'm going to break into comics, and it was completely just like a devastating experience for me. And I was like, well, this is never going to work for you. I'm never going to draw again. But there was an anime I watched during that period afterwards where I wasn't doing anything, and it had like a really profound effect on me where it was like this kind of like the main crux of the show was to do the impossible, and that was like the motto of the thing. Nothing was impossible. You can do the impossible, and that kind of like changed my life. And I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to take that approach from now on, and nothing is impossible. And I actually, it's the basis of the tattoo I got mid this year. because unfortunately with 2020 and everything, I started letting the depression and bad feelings kind of take over again. And I lost faith in myself and confidence. And so I got a huge tattoo on my leg to remind me to do the impossible and never give up. So
Never give up, never surrender.
that's right.
Do you feel the darkness and the depression does help at all, or is it just a complete hindrance and that's just a myth? Or do you think you have to be the struggling artist, the turmoil and pain to actually get good art?
Very interesting question. This is actually something that I have talked about with my therapist. So we're getting into therapy talk. But there was a time when I believed that holding on to some of the dark negative feelings made me a better artist, and I'll tell you why. Because I would use it as a way to push myself to become a better artist. So I would take something I did and I'm like, okay, this is crap, you can do better.
Mm-hmm.
And I would always try and push myself for the next cover to be even better than that. The problem with doing that, I found out, is that eventually all those negative things I was telling myself in my head became ingrained in my psyche, where I was actually believing that I was no good and that my art was terrible and I was a terrible artist and things like that. And eventually this year it kind of broke me, and it took nearly dying to get me out of that mindset and to kind of reshape my brain into that's not a healthy way of going about doing things, and trying to approach it in a different way now. So I'm still trying to do better and become a better artist, but the way I'm approaching it now is through exploration and trying to explore different art styles and different mediums and things like that.
Sounds like a much healthier way of dealing with. But what is so crazy to hear someone as talented as you would be going through this, and we all do this. I guess it's a human thing. Like everyone has the same type of thoughts and feelings. Like no one's good enough. But to see someone that's as talented as you to have these feelings, it's very relatable because I'm sure everyone here listening right now has felt the same way. So, also just the fact that you are open enough to let everyone know that that's how you felt and how you're dealing with that. That's another reason that you're a wonderful artist, because you're just laid all on the sleeve and just like, let it all come to bear. And we appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Well, I think it's important, especially now, like I said, after everything I went through, to kind of not really come clean, but just to be kind of upfront and honest about things. And these were things I've been holding on to for years, and I started taking the approach that it's better to talk about this stuff and just be honest about it. And maybe there's people out there who are who feel the same way and are going through a really rough time. They're like, oh my God, there's somebody else who feels the same way. I don't feel so alone. So I think it's good to discuss this thing and not be ashamed of it. And just we're all human beings. We're all broken in some way or another, especially after a lot of us after the past couple of years. We've kind of been through the meat grinder, but it's okay to not be okay, and there's nothing to be ashamed of. We just have to.
We're always
just
at
keep
work in
plugging
progress.
forward.
Yeah.
Exactly. Always a work in progress. Yeah.
Hey, Sebastian's got a good question here.
Yeah, there's the man.
There it is, the man. When you make a cover for Coffin, do you have restrictions with the subjects, or are you free, or a free bird?
It depends. I mean, so with Lady Death, there's always some ground rules of what you can and can't do, because she has to be handled a certain way. With Hell Witch, there's a little bit more ground room freedom that you can have. But So I know one thing that Brian really gets on me for with Lady Death is uh, I always tend to paint her. This is going to sound weird. I paint her nipples too dark.
Come on,
Um,
David.
and he always has to constantly be like, dude, stop. It's like, I think the last time he was like, how many, he's like, I don't want to, how many times do I have to keep telling you, don't make them so dark? And I'm like, it's like, I know, I go into like auto mode sometimes. And so now I have to like do it the way I do it and then be like, okay, I got to dial it back a few. Um, so yeah, there's certain things about posing for Lady Death. Um, you can't have her be too submissive.
Oh yeah.
Um, she always has to be in control of the situation, and it's all completely understandable. It has to be within her realm of her character.
Yep.
If if you see her, you can't basically draw her out of character. And it's like why Hell Witch is a little different because she's a little bit more suggestive and a little more loosey goosey. Um, so you can push the envelope a little bit more with her. Um, but I tend to try and treat Lady Death with a little more respect as I'm drawing her. Um, Also because I think it's Brian's baby, and it's Brian's. You have to think of the creation as like an offshoot of the person who created it, and you want to kind of be respectful with that. Um, that's why, I mean, there's sometimes people have asked me to draw like Lady Death a certain way, and I won't do it because it's out of character for her,
Mm.
and it just makes me uncomfortable. So
So what about La Morta? Any like is this like a style guide for La Morta when you're drawing her? Which I don't think you have done too much La Morta characters.
yeah,
Colors.
I don't think I've actually. I think I've drawn La Muerta like once. Um, I've always drawn out of all the La Muerta characters, Sombra is the one that he's always tasked me with, and sometimes Mama Z. So these
Oh
two
yeah.
characters that have a little bit more of a sensuality to them.
Yes,
Uh,
that's true.
La Muerta is more of a badass, just like Punisher kind of character, and you don't want to draw her, being too suggestive or seductive or anything like that, because this is not, again, keeping it in the frame of her character.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, so I always usually get tasked with drawing some of the more seductive characters. Um, I did, uh, yeah, the one La Muerta I did was the one with her, the angel one where she was shooting like an arrow, and I thought I got away with that one a little bit more because it was more approached kind of like in a fine art style, I guess, rather than
Yeah.
like a pin-up-y kind of thing.
So any of the Coffin characters, did you ever like turn something in and Brian's like, oh hell no, that's completely wrong, or the opposite, like, oh, I never even thought about that. That's completely on task.
Yes to both. So there have been a few concepts that I've turned in that Brian was like, no, just no. I'll tell you, since the covers have already come out now, the ones I originally designed for the Wargasm, was it the Wargasm? Yeah, the Wargasm ones was originally more a racy kind of image.
Yeah.
And because he had told me, he was like, okay, push the envelope, make it really, this is what we want. And so I said, okay, you told me to push the envelope, here we go. And I turned it in, and he was like, yeah, too much. it's like come back a little. There was another cover I did of, it was for La Muerta. It was I think it was Mama Z. Yeah, it was Mama Z that I did, and I drew her. and actually, I actually ended up redrawing it, just doing it differently. So it actually was used, but the original drawing, she had like Aztec war paint on her, and she had a knife, and she was holding a heart that she had removed, and she had like a sacrificial knife, and blood was running down her arm. And Brian was like, "That's too gory for a cover." And then there are some that, like the Ed Roth Tribute ones that I just turned in, was one that I pitched to him. And I was like, "I think these would go really well," and he was like, "I'm not too sure. Let's kind of." I think he suggested posting it in like the Sworn Nation group or something, just to see what everybody's reaction was, and everybody loved it. So then we decided to roll with the idea of doing, multiple covers, and there's still more I'd like to do with some of the other characters, because I just have them in my brain. I was like, oh, that would look great seeing this character driving this or this character driving that, and I think it'd be kind of fun. And then the other one was actually turned out to be one of, I think, the best-selling covers that Coffin did was the Princess Leia, the Slave Leia one, the first one.
Oh yeah.
Because that
blew people's minds.
I did that I think it was an Albuquerque Comic-Con exclusive, because Carrie Fisher was going to be at the show, and then she canceled because they were filming the new Star Wars films, and so Brian pulled the plug on the cover because he wasn't comfortable. I don't think at the time with doing like homage covers.
Yeah.
I think. And I think it was Miguel who he was looking at some of my original artwork, and I had that piece in there in my portfolio, and he was like, "Oh, this is amazing! What is this?" And I think he went and showed it to Brian. He was like, "Oh my God, you got to make this!" And yeah, I think I remember something that you guys had put out or something, and it was like one of the number one selling cover that you guys had did or something. So, so a long-winded answer to your question there. Yes, sometimes there are ideas that get shot down, and others that may go sit on a shelf at some point and then come back and
yeah. Those Ed Roth ones were amazing. I can just imagine like Loco, Mad Mike. To be like, oh man, this would be really cool to see the other characters from the Coffin verse coming in on like all the cars.
Yeah, I mean, there's such a possibility of different car character combinations that I've already like thought of. It would just be one of those things that what I'd love to see him turn them into like stickers, like the old Ed Roth stickers they used to get, and then like maybe include those like in a sticker pack or something like that would be kind of.
We got something from Dustin here saying that he's got the Sangre edition. Effing love it. Oh yeah, those are really cool. Yeah, you had the that character. Yeah, like you did so many of the. She's like that enforcer character. Or was she Mama Z's girlfriend as well? I believe so. But yeah, and the Sangre covers that you did. There's so many of those. They're so good. Oh, hello. Oh, I lost your audio. Anyone else? Hello. Oh boy. Well, looks like that's. Hold on, folks. We got a little technical difficulties. I'm not sure if you can hear me, and I can hear you. Check. Oh. All right, as David comes back here, we're almost time to wrap up anyway. I want to thank David so much for his time and energy here at Coffin Comics. Oh, you can hear me fine? Jay says you can hear me fine. I see we get Dave here one more time. Are we back in?
Okay.
There we go. All right, you know what? It's perfect timing because I see I got you here for a half hour. We'll wrap it up. David, where can everyone find you? Where can we find you? You have a sale going on in your Etsy store. Let's hear everything you got.
For some reason, your audio is really garbled right now. Are you still there?
Want to wrap it up with all your?
You're like speaking in slow motion, so I can't understand you.
Oh no.
Well, at least
All
it's
right,
made it interesting.
All right, so we'll just wrap it up here. David, thank you so much. Appreciate you. We'll let you go. I know you have a sale going on at your Etsy store right now. Everyone look up Artassassin, search David Harrigan online. You can find him. You guys are delayed. Yeah.
You guys are like delayed. Okay, so it's not just me then. All right.
So, but otherwise, thank you so much. We'll stay in touch. We'll post all your links for everyone to go find you out there, and the should link on your Etsy store, and Mr. Kitty as well. See you, everyone. Bye.